Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to week 3 of 2024. I swear in my head it's still like June of 2023, but we're here. I know many of you kicked off the year with new health and fitness goals, and a number of you are starting with various health, fitness, weight loss, etc. programs. You know, maybe you're in one of my courses, Reverse Dieting 101 or Fat Loss 101. Maybe you signed up for my new completely free challenge, 35 Thrive. Or maybe you're doing something else entirely different. I don't know, but either way, you might be hitting or about to hit a motivation plateau. The first couple weeks of a new program usually pretty easy because you've got a ton of motivation to like drive you through, get you to your goals, do all the things. But a couple weeks in, that motivation can start to kind of peter out a little bit. So I wanted to take a second, make a video on my top 10 tips to maintain motivation in your fitness, health, weight loss, strength, etc. journey. So if you're excited for the new year, new you, and you want to make sure that you reach that new you that you are striving to be and that you maintain all of the motivation that you need in order to get there, give this video a big thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and let's get right into it with tip number 1. And that is, forget about motivation. Using motivation to get you to your goals is one of the worst ways to get to your goals, because it almost always fails. Motivation is inherently fleeting. It is fickle and unreliable. So unless your goal is something that you can like actually reach in 2 or 3 weeks, chances are motivation's not gonna stick around long enough for you to get to your goal. So if you are going into your health and fitness journey thinking that you need to rely on motivation in order to get to your goals, you're setting yourself up for failure. And this is where motivation really gets tricky. A lot of people think that they have to be motivated in order to get to their goals. And so therefore, if they lose motivation, they suddenly can't do the things that they need to do to get to their goals. But this is where motivation, like this is the dark side of motivation, it becomes an excuse. If you could do all the things that you need to do when you had motivation, but then you don't have motivation and suddenly you can't do them, there's literally nothing actually stopping you from doing the things that you need to do. It's literally just a lack of a concept in your head that's getting in your way. It's not like you don't have the time, it's not like you don't have the energy, it's not like you don't have the money, because you had those things when you had the motivation. So if motivation is like your core reason for starting to do something, and it's what you feel like you have to rely on throughout the process in order to get to where you want to be, then motivation is going to very quickly become the reason you don't get there, because motivation will fade and you will have nothing to attach yourself to actually get you all the way through to execute what you need to do to get to where you want to be. Forget about motivation. Like,
love that you have it, love that for you,
but just don't think you're gonna have the same level of motivation in May when it's been a couple months and life has kind of gotten in the way and things have gotten a little bit harder. So what is the alternative? That brings me to tip number 2, and that is build discipline. Discipline is what will get you through more difficult times while you're still trying to reach your goals. Difficult times, in fact, strengthen your discipline, whereas difficult times usually weaken your motivation. Motivation is the mindset of, I'm going to do this thing because I have motivation. Discipline is the mindset of, I'm gonna do this thing because it's just what I do.
I'm about to try to make a car analogy. This is not gonna go well, but hopefully you'll get the picture.
Imagine yourself racing along with a bunch of other cars and you have this turbocharge called motivation. At the beginning of the race, you're like, I wanna get this race done as quickly as possible because I wanna win. And so you hit that turbocharge button and you go zoom. But then, you know, pretty quickly, you use up all of your fuel because you used it all for the turbocharge, and so you peter out and then you come grinding to a halt because you don't have more turbocharges and you burn through all of your fuel. But everyone else that just started their engines and just chugged along without a turbocharge, relying on discipline alone, they're eventually just gonna pass you. And then they're gonna get to the finish line. It's a lot less glamorous, it's a lot less exciting, but it's a much more reliable way of getting to where you wanna go. So the rest of these tips are gonna be kind of focused around making it easier to build the discipline that you need to get to your goals. Tip number 3 is set realistic goals. I'm gonna say that again. Set realistic goals. And when you think you have a realistic goal with a realistic timeline, probably double that timeline. Want to lose 30 pounds in 30 weeks? Make it 60. It takes so much of the pressure off from trying to meet this timeline that may be reasonable and realistic for you, but in the context of real life, it's just gonna be a lot harder. But when it comes to goal setting, your goals need to be realistic. A, because you literally won't be able to reach them if they're not realistic, but B, it just makes it really hard to build discipline when you're adding a time crunch factor to it. Like, this is a little bit different if you're like working up to a competition or like a deadline to be able to accomplish a certain thing. Like, you know, you're trying to lose weight for your wedding and then you don't care if you gain the weight back after your wedding. Those things aside, if you want to be able to reach your goals and maintain them long term, adding a time crunch to achieving that doesn't help. And then within goal setting, super important to break your goals down into smaller goals, so like steps to get to your goal, and then build a realistic roadmap
from step to step to step to step to step until you reach your goal.
And this is really helpful for preventing the overwhelm that you can feel when you have this like big goal that maybe you set a long-term goal and you know you're not gonna reach it for a year, but like it's a big goal of yours. Like, let's say you're trying to lose like 30 pounds and you're giving yourself a year to do it. Like, fantastic. But that goal feels so far away when you're just starting out. And so being able to set little goals along the way can kind of keep you on track and keep you moving in the right direction. It could just be your first goal is to start exercising regularly. You know, exercise 3 times a week consistently. And then your next goal could be to hit a certain number of grams of protein every single day. And just goals that are going to build on each other and work towards that end goal, because it's a lot easier to build that discipline in when you're taking smaller steps. And then the last thing I'll say about goals for now is I recommend sprinkling in side quests. Like, maybe your main quest is to lose 30 pounds in a year. But in order to do that, you know, you're gonna have to do various things nutritionally. You're gonna have to do various things with exercise. And so you can also set goals within those things to just add interest and add fun to what you're doing. So maybe, you know, 1 month you're going to set a side quest of learning how to do a handstand or getting stronger at pull-ups or something. Like, just things to add spice, add flavor, add fun. And this kind of sort of leads me into tip number 4, which is to create a sustainable environment. When you let motivation take the reins, you tend to go towards the more crash dieting, 2-week abs, 30-day challenge kind of programs that are designed for like really fast results, but aren't necessarily sustainable results. Whereas when you let discipline lead, you trend towards building a more generally sustainable lifestyle. You inherently have to focus more on sustainability. So some tips for this are, number 1, make sure you're starting, if you are following like an actual program or creating a program for yourself, follow one that feels good to you. If you start a new program and you immediately feel bad, and I don't mean feel bad as in feel challenged by it, because it probably should be challenging, but if you're feeling like drained, like you have no energy, if you're constantly starving, if you constantly are leaving the gym feeling like you're dying, like not feeling good, but feeling like you don't want to take another step, like those are all signs that it's probably not super sustainable for you. If you're looking for a sustainable fat loss program, Fat Loss 101 will be hopefully reopening for registration in May. So if you're looking to start losing weight for summer, that program will be the one for you. You can sign up for the waitlist at fatloss101.com. Beyond your actual programming, focusing on addition instead of subtraction, adding in protein instead of taking away sugar, adding in water instead of taking away gluten. The more helpful things you can add into your life, like exercise, sleep, vegetables, protein, etc., the less space you're naturally going to have for less helpful things. And so you're naturally gonna stop doing the things that are less helpful for you to achieve your goals if you start adding in more and more and more things that are more helpful, but you're not gonna feel nearly as restricted as if you were intentionally cutting back on the less helpful things. So if you struggle to exercise regularly, but there's a type of exercise that you really enjoy, even if it's like super random and you don't really see an association with it for your goals, if it gets you moving, if it gets you to get into the habit of regular exercise, add it in. Or maybe you struggle with going to sleep on time. my biggest one. Adding something in to your nighttime routine that you do like as you're getting ready for bed that you really enjoy and look forward to every night can be really helpful for getting you to like get started on that nighttime routine so that you can actually get yourself in bed. Tip number 5 is identify your roadblocks / excuses ahead of time and figure out ways that you're going to be able to navigate them when they come up. So for example, if you know you have a weakness for candy, like if it's in the house, you're gonna eat it, then your way around this might be don't bring candy into your house. Maybe you can still eat it when you're out and about if the opportunity presents itself, but you're not going to bring it home. Or maybe a roadblock might be you have a great group of friends that you absolutely love, you want to hang out with them, but they want to go out every weekend. And by go out, I mean get the foods, all the foods, and then all the alcohols, and then probably more foods. And usually those foods are not going to be helpful foods for your goals. So something you might want to do here is set some boundaries with your friends and or prepare ahead of time. So that doesn't necessarily mean don't go out with your friends, but it could mean sitting down with your friends and having a conversation and being like, these are my goals. This is what I need to do. I would love it if you could support me in this. So maybe, you know, you eat dinner before you go hang out with them, and then you just hang out with them. And while they're drinking, you just order a soda, water, and lime. And then it looks like you're drinking, but you're not drinking, and you can hang out and chill and still have a good time. And then maybe they want to go out after and get some more foods, but surprise, you brought a snack. So you can still eat with them while they go eat their drunk foods, and you can eat your food that is helpful for your goals, and it's a win-win. Everyone is happy. Last example, maybe the excuse that you always make about why you don't want to work out is that you are too tired to work out. So sit down with yourself and go, okay, how can I get rid of this excuse? This could mean not binging Netflix for so long and just going to bed earlier so that you get more sleep so that you're actually not as tired. Or it could be going a layer deeper and figuring out where that excuse is really coming from. Like if you're not actually too tired to work out, like figure out where that resistance is inside yourself to working out and then work through that. I maybe recommend a therapist to help with that. But that leads me to tip number 6, which is confront your limiting beliefs head on. So take a second to step back and examine what has stopped you from succeeding in the past. If you believe that you will not be successful because you cannot get there, because you don't have the motivation, you don't have the willpower, like you don't have the ability to do what you need to do, you're not going to be able to do it. It is going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So figuring out where that limiting belief is coming from, what's reinforcing it, and what it might be protecting you from, and then going deeper into that and facing those fears, that's when you really unlock some magic and you can start making a lot of progress, not just on your fitness journey, but like in life. Or maybe you have some perfectionistic tendencies and this makes you view your fitness journey and likely many other things as very black and white. And so you feel like if you're not able to do everything perfectly, then there's no point in doing anything at all. And when it comes to health and fitness in particular, like that is so far from the truth. Like doing anything is better than doing nothing. Again, highly recommend therapy to help you sort through all of these things. I did just post a video recently about my whole journey with therapy and parts work and EMDR and all of that, and it's been absolutely amazing. I've been in therapy for like 1.5 years and it's the coolest thing. So if you're at all like hesitant about therapy and like, why is this person talking about therapy so much? Like, just go watch the video. I talk about it all there. If you have more questions, feel free to message me. Tip number 7 is to treat yourself like you would treat a friend or a loved one. It is wild how differently we treat ourselves from how we would ever dream of treating people that we care about. Like, what if your friend came to you and they said, hey, I am in a relationship and my boyfriend is patrolling what I eat. If I eat a cookie one day, he makes me skip breakfast. He makes me step on the scale every single morning to see what I weigh. And if the scale has gone up at all, he doesn't let me eat dinner. He constantly pinches my body in places, makes comments about how ugly and disgusting I am, and tells me that I'm just lazy and a horrible person and look horrific all the time. Like, you would tell that friend to run so fast, right? But that is the relationship that a lot of people have with themselves. And that is heartbreaking. You would never treat someone that way. You would never tell someone it's okay to be treated that way. So why would you allow yourself to treat yourself that way? If you don't like the way you look, I'm not gonna tell you you're wrong for having those feelings. Like, all of your feelings are valid, but you don't deserve any less love from yourself just because you don't like the way you look. So don't let how you look affect the level of love that you are able to and willing to give to yourself. Tip number 8, I feel like I should have reordered these because I feel like we just kind of went deep and now I'm just like bouncing back to not as deep. But tip number 8 is to use a variety of metrics of progress, not just the scale. First of all, the scale in itself, pretty poor metric of progress anyway. And this is because so many things cause your total body weight to fluctuate that have nothing to do with how much actual fat is on your body. Like, day to day, you can gain and lose like about 5 pounds of water weight depending on your sleep, depending on the food you've eaten, depending on your electrolyte balance, depending on the weather, your stress, your inflammation, etc. Like, for example, I have a student in Fat Loss 101 who has gained 10 pounds during the course, but those 10 pounds have been muscle. Her waist measurements haven't increased at all. If you were to take your current body and add 10 pounds of muscle, you would be at a lower body fat percentage. The scale would have gone up, but your body fat percentage would be lower. You would technically be leaner, and you would not know that if you were only using the scale. So other metrics of progress that you can use include body fat percentage, measurements, so like measuring your waist, your hips, your arms, etc. You can take progress pictures, and all of those combined with your weight can give you kind of a good idea of how your body is changing aesthetically and like composition wise. But you can also use metrics like strength and endurance and resting heart rate to see actual numerical metrics of how your body is getting healthier. And along those lines, you can also pay attention to your energy, your hormone balance. So paying attention to things like your PMS symptoms. So like if you're not getting as much cramps before your period, or if your skin is getting clearer, etc. Like, those are signs that your hormone balance is improving. You can track your mental clarity, your libido, your digestion. Paying attention to all of these things can give you a big indicator of whether or not you're moving in the right direction. So tip number 9 is make key mindset shifts. These 3 key mindset shifts are, number 1, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. If you desire change, that requires being uncomfortable. Staying in your little comfort zone does not induce change. Challenge is what elicits change and growth. Without challenge, you don't have that. So you have to be comfortable challenging yourself, pushing yourself, feeling a little bit uncomfortable, not in a bad way. Like, it's not like you need to feel like you're starving all the time in order to lose fat. It's not like you should be feeling like you're dying on the treadmill, just that it's gonna be a little bit hard. And you have to be okay with that. Second key mindset shift is focusing on long-term goals over short-term goals. If you want to lose weight, do you want to keep it off long term? I mean, you can make the mindset shift of accepting that in order to keep off the fat long term, you have to take a different approach. You can't take the same crash diet approach than you would if you wanted to get the fat off as quickly as possible. Then that opens up so much more opportunity to, again, build discipline into your journey, build sustainability into your journey, and take your time getting to the end goal. And then mindset shift number 3 is consistency over intensity or speed. This is kind of the same, but the emphasis here is just on remembering that for the long term, like once you've made that shift into the long-term mindset, in order to achieve long-term results, you should be prioritizing consistency with your routine. And again, this is about building that discipline in over trying to do as much as possible as fast as possible. Consistency is what will get you to your goals and maintain them long-term, whereas prioritizing speed and intensity might get you to your goals faster, but is not going to make them last long-term. Tip number 10 is to do regular self-check-ins. And this is really helpful in bringing awareness to how you're feeling about your journey and things that can get in the way on your journey. Especially during the beginning of your journey, I highly recommend doing daily check-ins. This can take like 30 seconds. I mean, maybe set aside 2 minutes. So every day, ask yourself, did anything get in my way today? And if the answer is yes, ask yourself how you can better navigate that in the future. So, you know, if like 2 times a week, the days that you have to go pick up your kids from school, something tends to get in the way because of that. Like, you can notice those patterns as they're happening and then adjust accordingly, rather than getting like 2 or 3 months in, you're wondering why you haven't made any progress, and it's because 2 days a week things have been going haywire and you haven't been able to be consistent, and you haven't really noticed that because every time it happens, you're just like, okay, I'll make sure it doesn't happen again, and you never give it more thought than that. So if you set aside the time to think about it, you can prevent yourself from getting months into your journey and then realizing that you weren't ever consistent in the first place, but you just hadn't thought about it enough. And then the second thing to ask yourself every day is anything coming up tomorrow that might get in my way? And then if so, what can I do about it? And then weekly, I recommend asking yourself questions such as, how am I feeling about my journey in general? Maybe you're feeling good. Like, maybe you've started this health journey and you're feeling a lot better. You have more energy. You're more excited about life. Like, you're actually excited to go to the gym. And when you have a second to actually recognize those things, that can be extremely powerful and really helpful in helping you build that long-term discipline. Or you might think, this is really stressing me out. Like, I really don't like XYZ about it, in which case you can think about how you can maybe change things, modify things in order to accommodate that and still reach your goals. For example, if you sit down and ask yourself this question, you realize like every day that you have to do cardio, you dread going to the gym, you procrastinate as long as possible, and most of the times you actually end up missing that workout because you're dreading it so much. This gives you a chance to recognize that pattern and then shift accordingly. So maybe that could be just getting rid of that workout and doing something entirely different, because again, consistency is more important. So if you shift that workout, plop in something else, and suddenly you can get to the gym consistently, fantastic. And there you have it. Those are my top 10 tips for building motivation, aka discipline, on your health and fitness journey to help you get to your goals in 2024. If you have any more tips, please leave them down in the comments below. Or if you have any questions, comments, general concerns, also leave those down in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really does support me and my channel. I really genuinely appreciate it. Please share this video with your friends, your family, your gym buddies. If you want to see more content from me all about health and fitness, you can check it out over here. To see future videos, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bell so you get notified when I post a video, and I will see you very soon. Bye!